Let's take a look at a companion program that comes free with ImagePrint. It's called AutoPrint. I'm going to double click to launch AutoPrint, and it's going to bring up the AutoPrint menu. And what AutoPrint is, it's a hands-free hot folder utility. And what that means is you set up parameters of how you want AutoPrint to look at a watch folder, and as it sees images based on what you've told the instructions you've set in AutoPrint, it's going to lay out those files on a page and then queue them to the ImagePrint spooler to be printed. And all this can be done in a hands-free environment because you've predefined how you want AutoPrint to act based on the images it sees in this watched folder. So let's get into it and show you what it does. We need to set a printer. I'm going to set my Epson 9900 and a page size, and I have a 44 by 44 page size set. Now the next thing I want to do is set my watch folder. I'm going to move this over to the side real quick here. And my watch folder, I'm going to browse to my desktop, and I have a watch folder set there, so I'm going to set it. And then we're going to jump into the settings. And let's go to our general settings first. And one of the most important things we need to set is what we call our print triggers. And what the print triggers do is it tells the software when to queue the job. And I have a couple triggers set right here. If 70% of the page is filled, it's going to automatically queue the job and then begin laying out a new page. Or if 60 minutes have elapsed before that 70% of the page is filled, it will queue the job. And then we have a third trigger, which I do not have set, which is how many images are on the page. And if it satisfies any of these triggers, then it sends the job to the ImagePrint spooling system to be printed. Let's look down a little bit more, and there's some decisions to be made. When a new image is detected in the watch folder, we can clear the current layout and rebuild it. So if new images are always coming into this watch folder and ImagePrint's laying them on the page, what this means is that each time it sees a new image, it clears the previous layout so it can look at all the sizes to see if there's a better way to fit these images on the page in order to waste less paper. And I have that checked because that's what I want to do. Now after a page is queued, it can start to rebuild the next page immediately, or you can wait till a previous job is out of the queue. And we can also display warning messages, and these are important because a lot of times AutoPrint is running without anybody watching the system. And so we can display these warning messages if a image doesn't fit on a page. What do you want it to do? It can pop up a message. It can move it to a no-fit folder that you can deal with at a later date, or it can attempt to fit it on the next page, which is what I have selected right here. Now I have a pretty large page set up, and I know with the images I'm working with, I'm never going to have an image bigger than 44 by 44, so I know that by going to the next page, anything that I'm printing right now is going to automatically fit. Now what happens when ImagePrint detects an error message while printing? This is important because it can automatically sound an alert if somebody's around to hear that alert and then come deal with that. Or if it's running at nighttime, we can tell the AutoPrint utility to send an email to a specific email address with that error message so that somebody can either remotely deal with it or come in to deal with it, because at that point in time the print queue has stopped and no more printing is going to happen. So let's move over to the image settings and look at some of the settings here that it can also do. We have cut marks, which we can control and put cut marks on the images so that when they're printed we have an easy path to cut with. And our watermarks, and there's two watermarks that you can deal with, and you can put any information in these watermarks that you want, and you can position them anywhere on the image or slightly off the image. And I have one that just says your company here, watermark 1, and you can see in this little sample image on the side, it puts that text right there. I'm going to turn that off, and my second watermark I have set up to display demo. So it's a watermarked print that can't be used as final output. And so the watermarks are really cool. Now layout settings, here we're getting into a lot of very specific things. I mean, AutoPrint does a number of things to the image. It can automatically size them, place them in templates. There's a full manual that describes all these settings. We'll be here for a long time if I go through them, so I just want to note that they're there and to take a further look if it's something that's of interest to you. And then we also have annotation settings and color settings. I'm going to jump back to my general settings and look at what happens when printing is done. And I have set right now to move the files to a specific folder that I call Finished Jobs, and that's on my desktop. So I'm going to get out of the settings folder right now and go back to my AutoPrint utility. And the thing I need to do is start it running. Now I have a file here on my desktop with my watch folder. I'm going to open it and show that I have a bunch of images in there already. And so we're going to start AutoPrint running, and it's going to start looking at that folder for images. Now I'm going to double click this little page icon here in the bottom corner, and it brings up a bigger page icon. And we're just going to watch these images get laid out here as AutoPrint starts to look at them and calculate the sizes and everything. So here they start coming in right now. And we can look at the percentage of the page that's filled right over here and watch that, and we'll see that when it gets to 70%, 71%, satisfied that trigger, and it sent that job to the spooling system. And now it's going to lay out page 2. And so it's going to continue to look at those images in the watch folder and lay them out until one of those triggers are satisfied. So let's look at this second page being laid out now. And it's pretty fast with this. So it automatically satisfied again over 70% of the page. And again over 70% of the page. And I think the fourth one would probably be the last page. And we're at 58% of the page right here. And I'm not sure if there's any more images, so we're just going to wait a second here, and then I'll show you one of the other things that we can do. If we look at this layout window, down at the bottom it says Queue Now. So if we are sitting here and we don't want to wait for the amount of time we've set to elapse to be satisfied, and we're happy that, okay, this is it, I'm going to say Queue Now and force that job to be sent to the spooler. And I'm going to quit out of this, and then we're going to go look at the spooler. I'm going to stop AutoPrint here, and let's bring up Image Print, go to our spooling system, and look at those jobs that were queued up. And here are the 4 jobs that I had queued up, and they're waiting to be printed. And as soon as they're printed, the images in that watch folder will be moved to my Finished Job folder. And that's a quick look at how AutoPrint works.